We have today with us Sandi Baker and Jaime Graham from our customer experience team to go through some content they've created on documentation. And I'm going to hand it over to Jaime to take us through the content.
Okay, so before we get started and really dive into it, I just wanted to stress the importance of obtaining all your customers' contact information and making sure it's all entered into EZLynx. It's extremely difficult to have good communication and documentation if you don't have a way to reach your customers. So get all of their contact information every time and enter it into EZLynx. Even if you know the number, if you have it saved on your phone or saved somewhere, having it in EZLynx is so necessary for some of the features that I'm going to go over today. Also, as a Firefly agent, some of your clients naturally get routed to us at Firefly headquarters here in the customer experience department. And sometimes it's necessary for us to assist them. So having their contact information in EZLynx allows us to provide them with better service overall. Just some of the topics that we're going to cover today for effective documentation, the importance of correct contact information, which I just went over, and the importance of good documentation, activity notes and how to make the most of them, importance of attaching documents into EZLynx and how to do it, texting through EZLynx, and also how to install and use the EZLynx plugin for your Outlook email. The importance of good documentation. As agents and CSRs, we're all very busy, so best to never rely on your memory. Always document everything, every interaction that you have with your customers. We always go by if there aren't any notes about it, it didn't happen. And then it becomes your word against the customers in any situation if there's nothing to document the conversation that you had with them. Um, it's a very common occurrence when we go into different accounts. We get a call from a customer about a specific situation. If we go in and there's no notes at all, the customer is extremely irritated and put off that we have no clue what's going on and they're frustrated right out of the gate, and it just goes downhill from there. Documentation is one of the most important things that you can do to be a good agent, and it takes a lot of time to form the habit of diligent documentation. Obviously, there are going to be times when you forget because nobody's perfect, but if you put the effort in, I guarantee you'll see how much easier it makes your job down the line. We have a few tools to show you today that will allow you to work smarter and not harder when it comes to documentation. Um, Also important to get in the habit of attaching any written documentation or correspondence you receive from your customer. So if you have any emails that you have from your customer at all, always attach it. Even if it seems insignificant, you never know when you may have to refer back to it. So just to go over the slide on things of why it's important to have such a good documentation process, you avoid E&O exposure, you avoid questions or need for clarity in a claim situation. It helps provide documentation in an audit situation. If you need to follow up with a customer, you already have all the information you need. You can quickly pull up emails and documentation related to a service request. Overall, it helps you better service your customers and be a great agent. It's extremely helpful if there's an issue with a policy change or cancellation with a carrier that needs corrected. It helps with recalling details of conversations and policy changes, and it's a great tool for agency communication. So today, Sandi and I are going to walk you through how to properly document accounts, how to use labels in your notes to make your lives easier, how to communicate with your customers via text message through EZLynx, and how the EZLynx Outlook add-in can make it super simple for you to attach emails and make notes about them within your inbox. So now I'm going to hand it over to Sandi.
To start us off with activity notes, I just wanted to show a few examples of what our notes typically look like. In the top example, we have a note from a customer account of ours that shows the effectiveness that detailed notes have when you're working remotely. To give you some context, Jaime had helped a customer last week who needed full coverage reinstated on a vehicle that was suspended for a prolonged amount of time. And she had put in a detailed note about the pop-up she was receiving when trying to complete that change. The same customer had called in a week later needing to remove that same vehicle, and I received the same pop-up, but because of her detailed note, I was able to process the change with full knowledge of the situation. There was no confusion, and it made that service interaction that much easier. And here in the bottom example, I have highlighted and pointed out a few areas of our notes that we're going to discuss today. In this example, this is a change request we see often. And to make the most of our activity notes, we always do a few things before saving it. Highlighted, we have the assigned label. Next, we have the assigned policy the note is associated with. And lastly, we have the attached documents that are directly associated with the policy change. And that, for example, will be emails, deck pages, ID cards, signed authorization forms. And for those who are not as familiar with activity notes, we've put together a step-by-step slide to show how to make the most of them. First, you'll click the label icon and select the label you'd like to apply using the drop-down selection. And as we said in our retention webinar, once you create these labels, they'll save so you can easily select for future use. And step 2 would be to click the folder icon and select which policy the note applies to from the policy list. This is extremely helpful when the customer has multiple auto policies or multiple home policies and dwelling policies. And lastly, if documents are involved with the interaction or service request, you can upload them directly from the EZLynx profile, or you can drag and drop them from your email attachments. And in our department, we drag and drop all customer emails into activity notes just because it's extremely helpful when you're needing to pull up a previous request for recalling specific details, or even if you just need to resend something because someone didn't receive it. And now we're going to talk about using labels for your activity notes and a few reasons why they're beneficial. So some of the benefits are it helps keep your agency's notes organized. It's extremely helpful when you're needing to locate something specific. And by using labels, you can pull reports easily for your specific needs. And just a few helpful tips. Make a table with a running list of labels that you want to use and when you want to use them. So that way you don't end up with a bunch of duplicate labels. And also try to use them with every account note. So off to the right, we have included the label report that we use to pull specific reports. And down at the bottom, we wanted to show you how to filter your reports by label and how it can also be modified by date. In the highlighted label section, you can type in the label that you are wanting to pull the report for. So as you can see in this one, it was a classification report from the dates starting at the beginning of January through July 22nd. And here's an example table that we've included for you. Our table looks very similar to this, but in our department, we actually use over 70 labels to help keep us organized. And up next, we're going to briefly talk about attaching documents. Attaching important documents and photos to your customer profile is another vital part of great documentation. I'm going to quickly go over how to attach, how to add attachments to a customer's document section within their profile. So first, you're going to go into the desired customer profile and navigate to the top section across the top labeled documents. Click the add button, and then from there, you click upload from the dropdown. And then from there, this box will pop up. You can drag and drop your documents from the file, or you can click to select and attach it from your computer documents. Once the documents are selected to be attached, you can name the document. It is important to keep the descriptions of your documents consistent because there's a search option in the document section that you can use when you're looking for something quickly. And next, select the policy it pertains to from the dropdown and click upload. And that's finished with that. And up next, Jamie is going to walk you through texting through EZLynx.
So I'm going to go over how easy it is to communicate with your customers via text message through EZLynx. Before I get into the details, just as a disclaimer, I wanted to mention to be aware of the TCPA and rules regarding text message and phone calls to your customers, especially when it's regarding marketing efforts. So just kind of be aware of those rules. You can text your customers directly from their EZLynx customer profile. So if you see that blue arrow, that's the button you would want to click to start a text. Any text conversations that you have in EZLynx automatically become part of the documentation in the activity section within the customer profile. Customers can respond back to you from via those texts without them having your actual direct phone number, if that's something that you don't really want them to have. So again, you just click that box, and moving on to the next page. This box shown here with all the arrows will pop up on the right-hand side of the screen, and then you just type your message that you'd like to relay into the text message box, and then when you're done, you just hit send. This is another reason why it's so important to get all your customers' contact information and make sure when you're putting a mobile number in, you actually put it in as a mobile number, not a home number. So EZLynx recognizes that they have a mobile number, because if you don't have a mobile number on file, this feature won't work within that customer's profile. So then on the next slide, you'll see there in the blue circle how that text automatically becomes part of the activity notes in the section for documentation, which makes it super easy then to refer back to, and you don't have to make a note about it because the text is saved in there. And now I'm going to go over the EZLynx add-in for your Outlook mailbox. This is something that we love in the customer experience department. It saves a ton of time for you. You do have to install the plugin, and you can do that by clicking, there's a little white question mark in the top right-hand corner of your EZLynx browser. Once you click that, there'll be a box that pops up and you search Outlook add-in in the search bar, and then there'll be an option for you to select that says how to install. Click that, and then you scroll down to the bottom and it'll give you step-by-step instructions to install that within your Outlook inbox. So once you successfully install that add-in, you'll see within your Outlook inbox, there'll be a red EZLynx icon on your toolbar that I have circled there in yellow. And then what you'll want to do is select the desired email that you want to attach within your inbox, and then click that red EZLynx button. And then on the next slide, you'll see there'll be a white box that pops up on the right-hand side of your Outlook inbox. And if any of the information contained in that email matches any information in EZLynx, that box will automatically populate any matching client profiles for you. If it doesn't populate any matching client profiles, you can obviously use that search bar to search your applicants by name, policy number, phone number, anything you would normally search by in EZLynx. And then you just want to select the profile that you want to attach the email to. And then once you select that profile, this is the screen that will populate next, that shows just the customer's information for their client profile. And then from there, you'll be able to add a note to, just kind of stating what the email was about. It adds the note and it automatically attaches the email to the EZLynx client profile, all within Outlook. So then at the end, you don't want to forget to hit save, because that's what actually puts it in there. And then the next screen is just showing, then when you go back into the client's profile, you see that the email and the note that you saved within Outlook is in there in the activity section. And then the email is also saved in the document section of the client profile. So it makes it super easy to get all of that in the customer's profile using that add-in, and everybody who has access to EZLynx should have the ability to install that add-in within their Outlook inbox and use it to save notes. And that is pretty much all of the content that we have. That wraps all of that up. So we'd like to go ahead and open it up to anyone who has questions about anything we've gone over.
For texting, can this be used for prospects and clients, or only clients?
Should be able to use it for both as long as you have the mobile number in there.
Next question we have is from Chelsea. Can we go back to create labels for previous activity notes?
Yes.
Right.
There is, I kind of sort of answered this question in the chat from earlier, but there is in the activity section of the notes, any note that's already saved, there should be a little label icon underneath it. If you click that, you can add labels after the fact.
The only thing I just want to add on is in order to create a label, you have to write a new note. So if you want to add a label that's already been created, you can absolutely do that to a note that's already there. But if you want to create a new label, you'll just have to add on to that note. So I know here in the customer experience department, we'll just put creating label on top of that note so we can create that specific label, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. Good point, Sandy.
The next question is for texting, is there an app? So if someone texts us after hours, will we be notified?
It just shows up as a notification within EZLynx. So the short answer, I guess, for that would be no. You would have to log into EZLynx to see if they texted you after hours, unless there's some capability to put EZLynx on your phone. I'm not even sure about that.
All right. And then the next question is, you showed a sample label table, but also said that you have over 70. What guide do you use that best helps keep the labels simple? What do you ladies think?
So when we have our department meetings, I mean, we started creating this label quite a while ago, and we just all kind of brainstormed, you know, what are the most common changes that we see? What do we want to have labels for in case we need to pull a report? So those are the things that guide us in making these decisions. And, you know, our teammate Heather actually just went in last week and cleaned up our label table to get rid of, you know, all the excess ones that, you know, we don't really use, or maybe any duplicates that were in there. So it's a constant thing that we're always working on. But really just brainstorming and figuring out what changes that we really want to make sure that we organize, and anything that we're going to want to pull reports for in the future. I mean, to be honest, and I'm sure, you know, Jamie, I'd love to hear your thoughts, but anything that we're trying or experimenting with, or, you know, anything that we might want to do, we'll throw a label on it and we'll add it to our list.
Right, that's what I was going to add. We run specific experiments from time to time. Recently, we did one for telematics. So basically, with labels, anything that you can think of that you want to be able to pull a report for, like let's say you want to track how many remarket requests you get within, you know, every single month. So you would want to create a label that says remarket requests, so that you can apply that label anytime you have a customer that has requested you remarket their account. That way, at the end of the month, you can go in that report, pull the label report, search by remarket request, and pull up everybody that you've had within that month that has requested a remarket. You know, anything you want to track. That's kind of how the whole label table started, because we were trying to figure out ways to pull different reports for things that we wanted to know, for different information. And that's, you know, we realized that we could pull reports by labels. So that's why we started labeling everything.
It also helps.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sandy, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The only thing I was going to say, Sandy actually mentioned in her slide, when we reference the label report, it is an activity report in EZLynx, in case you want to look into that for you and your agency after the webinar. All right, looks like we have another question. Could you please go back quickly through how to add and to Outlook EZLynx? So I think, Kara, you're referencing the Outlook plugin. So give me just a second. I'm going to pop back over to the presentation. Can you guys see my screen now for the EZLynx add-in? Okay. And then Jamie, do you want to do another refresher on that?
Yeah, it's actually, so if you're in your EZLynx browser, you have to go to the top right-hand corner and click the white question mark. And then from there, and this is also going to be replayable, this webinar, so that if you don't get it all written down now, don't panic. you'll be able to replay it and just go back to this section. But sorry, I got to get back to the white question mark in the top right hand corner, and then search Outlook add-in in the search bar, the box that pops up, and then there'll be an option for how to install. Click that and then scroll down to the bottom of that little section, and it gives you step-by-step instructions on how to install the EZLynx plugin. Or if you're having trouble, you can always chat with the EZLynx support via that little white question mark, and they will help you.
Good point. All right, I think we had one comment. Someone had asked earlier about getting notified on text messages after hours, and one of our Firefly agents responded and said, I get an email when someone texts me. Jamie, I think you mentioned the same thing. So
yeah, that's very, very good point, Keith. So usually EZLynx does send you an email whenever a text message comes back through. I didn't even think about that.
Yep. Well, everyone, thanks again. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to spend with us on this Modern Agent Season 2 webinar. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
See you guys.